Hello and welcome to this special live transmission regarding the annual budget which has been presented in the National Assembly by Finance Minister Mohammad Aurangzeb, and the total outlay of this particular budget for the fiscal year 2025 and 26 happens to be 17.573 trillion rupees, with a 6.9% reduction from the previous year, which back in 2024 and 25 was 18.877 trillion rupees. Making a speech at the floor of the National Assembly, Finance Minister said, let me quote, "The government aims to implement fundamental reforms to transform the very DNA of our economy through structural reforms. The budget is designed to boost exports, strengthen foreign exchange reserves, and address payment imbalances and enhance economic productivity. The spirit with which we protected our national sovereignty will need to ensure our financial security in the same way," unquote. There are other very important statements made during this very budget speech by the Finance Minister, which we will of course take up for discussion. Regarding, it's very important to mention certain numbers regarding the GDP growth, which has been set at a target of 4.2%. The inflation is likely to remain around 7.5%, and the budget deficit, which has been contracted from the previous year to 3.9% of GDP. Also, primary surplus is going to be 2.4%. Now, the FBR revenue target that has been set at 1.413 trillion rupees, which is considerably a bigger jump as far as this year around this target has been set, which is 18.5% increase from the previous target. When we talk about the public sector development projects, a budget that 4,226 billion rupees have been earmarked for that. We'll also be talking about the national tariff policy, the energy sector reforms, and also pension reforms and allocations for certain other sectors as well. It is also pertinent to mention over here that the current expenditure which has been set at, that has been proposed by the government at 16,286 billion rupees, which is of course lesser, 5.3% as compared to the previous year. Talking about the interest payment and debt servicing, that has also contracted to 8,207 billion rupees. Back in 2024 and 25, it was budgeted at 9,775, which was later on revised at 8,945. Let me bring in our esteemed panel of guests to talk about this important development. In the studio, we are honored to be joined by Dr. Manzoor Ahmad, Member Task Force on FBR and Tax Reforms, former Ambassador to World Trade Organization. Dr. Ahmad, thank you very much for your time, for being with us on this special live transmission. We really appreciate that. Also, in the studio, we are honored to be joined by Dr. Naveed, a financial expert and advisor of the financial economy. Dr. Naveed, thank you very much for your time, also for being with us on this special live transmission. We really appreciate that. Before jumping into the discussion, it is also very pertinent to mention that the federal government through this budget has also proposed to decrease the tax ratio from 5% to 1% for the salaried class obtaining salary from 600,000 rupees to 1.2 million rupees a year. There are different slabs which have been included for this particular reduction of the percentage as far as the tax ratio is concerned. We'll also be talking about that in particular. Dr. Manzoor Ahmad, let's specifically, I just want your quicker view regarding as to what do you think are the salient features of this particular budget?
I think this is one of the rare budgets which has focused on reforms. I mean, I've not seen such kind of tariff reforms, for example, in the last at least 20 years. And then there are other minor reforms, but the most significant feature of this budget is movement, opening the economy to competition, so that we move, instead of, we used to have this import substitution policy for the last many decades. Now we are going towards export-led growth. That's the big thing. So maybe I'll come back to what the details are. Yeah. But this is not just about customs tariffs, but there are reforms in energy area. There is reforms on sales tax, energy, digitalization, etc. All these things, and then there are a few new taxes like carbon levy through petrol. Because I think they like to discourage use of petrol and more for electric vehicles and electric that thing. And there is a tax on, let's say, this digital, for example, this YouTube, etc., which the outside companies, they earn from here, but they don't pay any tax. So that's another tax being introduced. And then maybe on solar panels, where there was no sales tax previously, and they think that if you want to promote domestic solar panel energy, they should pay sales tax as it is leviable on the domestic if somebody wants to pay. So on imports as well as on domestic production, there will be this. So these are some of the salient features. Maybe I'll come back to.
Right, Dr. Naveed, before getting in discussion with you, let me introduce Dr. HassanDaud, but he is the Chief Executive Officer of the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa Board of Investment and Trade. Joining us on the video link, Dr. HassanDaud, but thank you very much for your time, for being with us on this special live transmission. We really appreciate that. Let me go first towards Dr. Naveed, and Dr. Bhatt, I'll come back to you for your understanding regarding as to what could be understood from this particular budget. Dr. Naveed, what's the one single point that you think makes this particular budget different from the previous years?
I think the budget is well rationalized. Why I'm using the word rationalization is there. Every economic segment of the life that is been well taken. Relative view is always very important. What's happening right now across the world? If I speak holistically, the global economic that's giving global economic growth that is 2.4%. I have to see holistically what is the inflation. 4.7% is the global inflation that the world is experiencing.
Right.
So from that perspective, I think this budget is well rationalized. It's more inclusive in giving the navigation that is more towards the export. We have to develop the economy that is more towards the exports oriented economy. If you recall the previous budget, let's have a quick relative perspective. I think it was a time Pakistan was very deep, not internally the political eye was there from the opposition side. We also have the global eye. The Pakistan is going through some serious economic crisis was there. I think now the narrative has changed. What is the new narrative? What is the new pulse of every economic, financial and user eye? That is, Pakistan is a stable economy today. I think now we have to move towards it's a navigation point where we have to bring economic reforms. So I would definitely give a huge amount of significance that is on the part of the economic and financial eye that is bringing reforms in the country.
Right, Dr. HassanDaud, but let's take a little bit of stock of what had been the performance as far as the economic front is concerned. When we saw there were structural reforms, the macroeconomic stabilization and a forward-looking growth strategy. The primary surplus reached 2.4% of GDP. Inflation dropped to 4.7%, down from 29.2%, and the current account also moved from 1.7 billion deficit to a projected of 1.5 billion surplus. We saw a considerable increase as far as the remittances are concerned. We have also got that very positive outlook that has been shared by Fitch and Moody's and other financial institutions, including the World Bank and the Asian Development Bank. Also, what took the authorities to turn the crisis when the country was on the brink of default towards confidence?
Yeah, thank you very much, Jawad. And I think that yesterday when the overall outlook was presented, there were some highlights and there were some areas of concern. Frankly, agriculture sector is one area which is of major concern to me, especially some of our major crops like wheat, maize, rice. Those are on a downward trajectory. Although overall agriculture has done well, but these crops are important and are concern area vis-a-vis the previous year, because we are as of now still an agri-based economy, and a lot of our employment is perhaps agri-based. So that was an area of concern. And yesterday, when the finance minister were presenting the outlook, he was quite clear-headed in terms of what sort of budget he is going to present, considering the global challenges. We are unfortunately in a time of of uncertainty, especially trade-wise uncertainty. You know, the two largest economies, U.S., China, are in a trade war. A lot of tariffs have been placed by U.S. There are a lot of other uncertainties, geopolitical uncertainties. We're seeing things happening in Gaza. We're seeing things happening in Russia, Ukraine, and other geopolitical crisis brewing up. So, in that sense, I think today's budget was a very, very good effort by the government, and I'll tell you why. It's beyond rhetoric. It's not that I'm presenting a rhetoric and saying on behalf of the government. I see few areas where the government has clearly outlined their priorities, and that was actually for me a major plus point for them. They have clearly highlighted the real estate sector would be a priority area, agriculture would remain a priority area, and I think in that we would, and we'll talk about this later in the program. I think we would need some investment and support from our friends. Large scale manufacturing, I think, is another area of concern, and I think government here again has highlighted that they would focus on it.
Right. Dr. Bhatt, I seek your pardon for the interjection over here. A quick break I'll have to take, and after that, we'll resume the discussion from here. Welcome back to this special live transmission regarding the annual budget for the fiscal year 2025 and 26. In the studio, we are joined by Dr. Manzoor Ahmad, Dr. Naveed, and on the video link by Dr. HassanDaud. But let me resume the discussion with Dr. HassanDaud. But Dr. HassanDaud, but when we talk about this particular step before heading into a number of things that you've already shed light on regarding the agriculture sector and the large-scale manufacturing, let me have your view regarding as to this particular step. The government had promised earlier to provide a relief to the salaried class. Now, decrease of tax ratio, especially for the people who fall in the slab, who earn from 600,000 rupees to 1.2 million, there's been a considerable reduction of that percentage. How do you look at this particular step?
Well, Jawad, I think for me, this is a fantastic measure that the government has taken. This will not just build the confidence of the middle class, which is the engine of growth for any economy, but would also help us retain valuable resources so that we can employ them in some of the critical sector. We are seeing year on year there is a gradual increase in IT sector services. They are not just contributing to the economy, but also to the overall narrative that is being built around that. So I think for that we will be able to retain good middle class human resource which can actually work on some of the niche sectors, even mining. What I'm seeing is not just that the salary package have been increased and the tax have been lowered. This actually would build confidence of them to actually contribute towards the society. And the other aspect is that they also now would believe that the government has kept the promises that they have made with the salaried class, because the prime minister has spoken about it, the finance minister would. So when people who are working in middle class, salary class, in government,
Unfortunately, we're
yeah.
short of time. There are a lot of other areas that we need to bring into the discussion today during this special transmission. I'll take this very point to Dr. Manzoor Ahmad as well. Now, the FVR revenue target that has been set for the new fiscal year is 1.413 trillion rupees, which is a considerable increase. It is 18.5% increase from the previous year. Now, keeping both the things in parallel, this particular relief that has been specifically provided to the salaried class. So, of course, the government is going to look for new avenues in order to generate that revenue from. So, what are those core areas where the government is going to eye to increase it considerably?
I think basically the government thinks there'll be more domestic activity. I mean, the industrial production will pick up, so there'll be more sales tax, and all the, I mean, there'll be GDP growth will pick up. It was 2.5. Next year it's supposed to be double, somewhere 4.5 or something like that. So that will bring more this thing. But basically, it's through creation of more activity, whether it is from real estate, whether it is from industrial manufacturing, whether it is from any of these sources, because relief has been provided to all these sources so that the activity grows.
Right. So the number of steps which have also already been taken, the FBI transformation, which basically focuses on digital integration, transparency, and broadening the tax base, owing to which we have seen the results. The 390,000 high-value non-filers have been identified. 9.8 billion rupees in fake refunds have been blocked, and 30 crore rupees have been recovered from enforcement. Now, this particular area of enforcement, there has been an acknowledgement on the part of IMF as well. During today's speech, the finance minister talked about that also. How do you think that is going to yield the results in future as far as reaching that particular very target is concerned?
I think the more digitization and digitization as well as digitalization, automation, I mean, it will be very difficult for someone to escape the net. Currently they estimate something like 40% is, 35 to 40% is black economy. And now I think with the reduction of tariffs and with more automation, and also at the same time they are increasing penalties, etc., for non-compliance. So I think they will be able to get a good grip on this.
Now, very briefly regarding as to when we talk about the digital production tracking, which has been launched in sugar, now that is being expanded to cement and beverages and textiles as well. So, what does that actually signify?
It just says that there will be a system that will track how much is manufactured, how much is packed, what's put in the trucks. So everything is monitored through cameras, and through everything is transparent, so that they cannot really hide anything, how much they produce, etc. Previously it was left to them to declare. Now it will or maybe there was this inspector there, but they could collude. But now this will be very transparent. This will be everything, machines monitoring everything. So
right, Dr. Naveed, what's your understanding regarding the government has lived up to its promise with the salaried class? The salaried class over the number of years has been bearing the burden, in fact the disproportionate burden of that particular aspect. Now this particular promise has been fulfilled. How significant a relief is going to give them, and what are the other alternate avenues the government is going to focus on in order to meet that very FBR revenue generation target?
The three perspectives are very insightful. I think the Pakistan is still one of the potential economy which is not largely capitalized. The larger the perspective of Pakistan economy is that is still uncaptured. At the same time, if you see, the Pakistan is hosting every year 50,000 IT graduates. It's like the big number. So this the tax war is happening across the world. I think it's a blessing in disguise. It's giving a very serious the priority order for a Pakistan, that you have to revisit your export priorities. Top of the list, if I have to see, Pakistan, we have to be more knowledge intensive in terms of the value exports. Pharmaceutical, IT services. I think these are the my fellow colleague Dr. Daud, he's speaking high about the mining is. I think these are all those complementary areas where we have to bring our expertise and we have to capitalize. So I think this is one of the most significant area where we can strike very easily.
Okay, so speaking specifically about the IT sector, now there's been 3.1 billion rupees in IT exports in the year's first 10 months. Which is 21.2% increase. That's been mentioned by the finance minister. Now, the minister has also proposed raising the IT exports to the potential 25 billion rupees in the next 5 years. Now, from $25 billion, in fact. So that's a considerably a huge jump. What's required in that particular direction during the time span of 5 years to reach to that very particular milestone?
I think the two reforms are the need of the hour. The world has changed towards a cashless economy. I think the biggest concern of Pakistan that we are not closing the loop. Why we are not closing a loop? We are not coming with the new normal of the world. We have to finally realize the significance of the economy, which is a cashless economy. I think this is how we can bring your IT acumen that is more digitalized. We can bring the economy that is on the other side is more documented, and we can harness the significance of the economic capital. It's directly associated. Definitely the digital economy, this it's a new the world that is associated with the Pakistan the world economic and financial narrative, I would say. But we have to cross our fingers. I think we are not still crossing our fingers that much with the Central Asia. Free trade agreements, we have to sign with the Central Asia, we have to sign with the Gulf Alliance, we have to go with the Chinese. These free trade agreements, it's on the one side giving a diversity of your economic partners. We have to diversify your economic partner. It's a need of the hours. Definitely, we have a voice on the tariffs with the US officials. We are classifying the asset classes where we have to bring a free trade agreement with the US economy as well. But the need of the hour, where we are bringing your digital economy, potential agreements with the neighboring economies as well. This is how we have to bring, this is the new block. The world is moving towards, for instance, the BRICS economies. They have taken two shifts over the last 5 years. They have started thinking that how we have to reduce our dependencies on the foreign exchange. So they are start thinking about they have to bring the new currency, I would say. Then they have the integration of the AI, and they have increased the strengths of the IT capital. So I think that the same scenario that is naturally built for Pakistan, you have to keep your strengthening your canvas economically, that is with the US economy as well. The way we have engaged the mineral sector, I think this is one of the potential area that is giving the broader perspective with the US economy as well. We have to continue with our strength, but at the same time, I think the diversity is more important. So your diversity is not only in terms of the digital integration, we have to identify more digital patterns. Your supply chain is very much lacking digital patterns. So you have to digitalize your supply chain. You have to decide your patterns. Your South and your Central Asia routes, they are still seeking your connectivity. CPEC is
in order to increase that very connectivity, when we talk about the internal dynamics, reaching to the far-flung areas, the penetration of internet, how crucial that one is, and what steps are required in that particular direction?
3 areas. One is you have to revamp yourself as a digital economy. Then you have to look into how this digital economy that have the integration, this integration end of the day, that is with the change of your mindset. Your mindset definitely you have to change. End of the day, what's most important, if we are going to digitalize your economic system, we need a taxonomy. You have to develop a taxonomy for the sustainability. You have to develop a taxonomy that is for the digitalization. Taxonomy is basically is more close to the governance side. When we are coming with the governance side, and this governance side, I would say, if I see the previous budget that we received, that definitely it was a more economic chaos was there. We have the understanding we are rebuilding Pakistan economy. It's more addressing the economic pain line of the country. What we need today, I think it's the right time where we have to think very seriously. It's a stakeholders oriented approach where we have to come forward, where we have to sign economic charter with a stakeholders integrated approach.
I get your point, Dr. HassanDaud, but now the FBR revenue target, which is 18.5% increase from the previous one, what steps do you think are required for that, and how crucial and important role this particular IT sector can play in that particular regard? In the sequence of different sectors, where do you keep this IT sector as far as reaching that particular target is concerned? Dr. Hassan, please, if you unmute yourself.
Yes. Sorry, Jawad. I think it's a very good question, because the government also needs to prioritize the sectors where they want to which they want to invest on, and also perhaps allow the private sector to come in. So for me, based on the importance of those sectors, number one sector would remain agriculture, because of the food security. We have seen this in COVID, that economies which had strong support of agriculture sector were able to survive and do well during the COVID. The second sector, because of its impact overall, is the IT sector. This would be perhaps followed by tourism and mining together. IT sector, why? Because besides remittance, the only sector which has seen significant surge is the IT sector. And also, when you develop good human resource, good IT base, you would also be able to address some of the issues that you earlier highlighted regarding FBR. We can extensively move into digitization because digitization, A, provides customer satisfaction, but also reduces corruption. Because when an employee, especially government employee, knows that his performance would be gauged through digital network and this would be reflected through various policies of the government, and the government itself could gauge their performance based on digital monitoring. I think the overall performance of the government will increase, corruption would reduce, and efficiency would perhaps be in the economy. We can also monitor, because you've also highlighted about the sugar sector, the cement sector, the real estate sector. When you bring digitization in the economy, the performance and efficiency would again be gauged, and this would help reduce smuggling, because then you can actually see the quantum of production being made, and how much is being used domestically and how much is being exported, and the rest perhaps uh, might in other case go into smuggling, which can be reduced by the government digital effort. So for me, this is important. But again, here the government need to invest in TVET sector, especially IT based TVET sector, also in higher education institutions, where we can produce the right size and right quality of human resource, which can take this initiative forward. Because it's not just about simple baseline IT sector. We're talking about niche IT sector, from robotics to other areas where this could be utilized. Another area perhaps is data gathering, because we need good data centers which can support this initiative of the government. So all in all, agriculture followed by IT sector, followed by mining and tourism, and for all of this, we need investment. And for that, the government agencies need to perform better.
Right. Specifically talking about agriculture, I want your the number of steps which the government has already taken. 2.07 trillion agri credit issued during July to April, which was a 16% growth. New seed authority and national seed policy 2025 is also being drafted. There is digital seed certification and e-wallet lending systems. How do you look at these three different major steps the government has brought in as far as the agriculture sector is concerned?
All these steps are good, but overall, the performance of agriculture is not as good as we expected. It may be attributed to the climate change, because we've seen floods, we've seen hailstorm recently. The overall phenomena and timing of agriculture sector, the crop harvesting is changing. But what I would like to actually acknowledge the government, and still a lot of areas and a lot of gap to be bridged, is private sector participation. The government is now encouraging private sector to step in, especially in um, in the overall management of the crop. Because unless you invite the private sector, and especially in the supply chain logistics support, we will not be able to get the results that we are expecting. And when you want to invite the private sector, you should incentivize and provide them the right kind of technology and security. With these steps and the steps that you've highlighted, especially in the seed sector, I'm also happy to report that the government was able to send around 1,000 and more youngsters, professors from agri-based universities to go to China and learn new crafts. So there we can leverage CPEC and perhaps increase our yield. Our yield vis-a-vis our competitors, vis-a-vis the regional output, is much lower. We need to introduce new technologies and new machinery, and for that the government needs to incentivize private sector to come and bring that, because government cannot take all the steps. Wherever you see government participation, you will see problems. We've seen this in state-owned enterprises, we've seen this in agriculture sector. And perhaps now is the time that we should talk to chambers, we should talk to agencies and authorities of private sectors who are dealing in agriculture. And I think in about 2 years' time, we will be able to reach the value where we can actually, we are really blessed as far as agriculture is concerned, and these measures can actually help.
Right, Doctor, but I'll come back to you. Dr. Manzoor, when we talk about the national tariff policy, what does it basically entail? Dr. Manzoor Ahmad, you are of the view that you're going to give us the details regarding that.
Yes.
The national tariff policy, and it is going to ultimately lead into the enhancement in exports?
Exports, yes, sure. Well, you know, currently, in addition to the normal customs duty, we also what they call para-tariffs. We have additional custom duties, another levy. Then we have regulatory duty. So what the government has announced is that over the next 4 to 5 years, these additional taxes will be eliminated. That's one thing. Right. These additional taxes for the time being are almost 50% custom duty. So the custom duty, what should I say, the impact of custom duty was much higher than anywhere else. I mean, you know, if you compare Pakistan to any other country, it was at least twice or 3 times more. So that will come down. Then custom duty will be made more transparent. There will be only 4 slabs. What they called, for some things it would be 0%. If it is raw materials, you know, for industrial raw, 0%. If it is slightly processed, you know, something made out of it is 5%, then further processed 10%, and a maximum of 15%. That will be the end. Currently, the custom duty could go to any limit, and these regulatory duties, etc. Everything will be below 15%. That's the second thing. The third thing is that currently there are a lot of exemptions, custom duty exemptions given to various sectors. Okay, if you go and get a certificate from BOI, you get this reduction, and depending on that. That I think they're trying to make a level playing field. So because currently the small and medium enterprises were, you know, 2 or 3%, they cannot go and claim those exemptions, etc. So they were being discriminated against. So these are 3 or 4 major things that you'll see.
Right, Dr. Naveed, when we talk specifically about the energy sector reforms, your recommendations regarding that, there's been industrial tariffs which have been reduced by over 31%, household relief of 50% has been provided, 3 trillion rupees saved via IPP renegotiations as well. And closure of inefficient furnace oil plants has also been carried out. Anti-DCD structure, 3 discourse privatization has been advanced.
I think reforms are very insightful. One of the grey areas that is being demonstrated by your economic survey as well. Much needed. Now how it capitalize, this is more important. So I think we have to go by design thinking. Before I'm coming to this critical aspect, I think 2 to 3 areas, they are more significant. We are not bringing our navigation on this perspective. Pakistan stock market, I would say, this is one of the underlying reforms instrument that we have to play. This is more important. 1,54,000 number of participants that we have, that is a last year account that we have. Now we reached to 3,54,000. I think it's one of the biggest reform that we have towards the number of the participants of Pakistan Stock Exchange. But still I feel Pakistan Stock Exchange is not integrated. So why this integration is lacking? I think this integration is more important since we have to start thinking about some alternative financial system as well. The world has moved towards alternative financial system. When I see the alternative financial system, so then you have to provide more room towards your governance. You have to provide more room towards the financial innovations. Your banking sector, 53%, I would say your adults are unbanked. Pakistan stock market is not fully capitalized. So I think we are lacking strongly. This integration is lacking. This is more important. Now coming towards one important aspect, which is I think that remained one of the agenda that is being less served by the current government. I think state-owned enterprises, I think they are the pain in the neck of your economy. if I have to see the losses that we receive from these state-owned enterprises,
But there are a number of steps which are taking place regarding state-owned enterprises. We have also seen the pension reforms coming in, which have been linked to CPI. Multiple pensions have been eliminated, and the retirement is early retirement is also being discouraged. We've also seen the public-private partnership happening, restructuring. The privatization is going on. The right sizing, 40,000 vacant posts have also been abolished. 10 ministries have been restructured. There are a number of steps regarding that particular
Efforts are
aspect
there.
going on. Unfortunately, we're short of time. I'll have to go for a quick closing remark of Dr. HassanDaud. But regarding as to this national tariff policy, Dr. Bhatt, please go ahead. Especially when we talk about how significant role it is going to play as far as the enhancement in exports is concerned.
Yeah, Jawad, I think we have to work on an economy which is export-led, so that this boom and bust cycle issues, you can't rely on remittance all the time. So for that to happen, I think you have to have a universal tariff system which can support the overall industrialization in the country. And therefore, also one of the other areas that we need to restructure or work on is also the energy sector. You were just highlighting some of the initiatives that the government have taken, but there are lots of steps that are required, including early privatization of the discos, because the cost of electricity in our industrial sector is still quite high vis-a-vis our competitors. So we need to work on that. We need to perhaps from generation side move into transmission side, and therefore the government has worked on NTDC, and perhaps this these three new companies emerging from NTDCs, perhaps their efficiency also needs to be monitored, and long-term planning has to be done, because you can't work on new IGSAP and new data set each year, because energy sector is a long-term sector. On the tariff side, we need to again continue to monitor the performance of the industries and the sectors we are in incentivizing. We have to work on the performance of the government officials which are working towards the betterment of the system, because if their efficiency is not as per the requirement, I think there has to be a government policy where right sizing has to happen, and these people who are not performing as per the requirement have to be moved out of the system. So I think overall the government has taken a lot of good steps. I think, as I said earlier, the finance bill, the overall budget has been better, especially for middle class, for the salaried class, and also towards incrementally moving towards industrialization. And we were in a stabilizing phase, and if you want to work towards a growth phase, you cannot move into growth phase in a country like Pakistan unless you work on large scale manufacturing and agriculture, because you need jobs, you need people to be employed, so that they are happy, and the government is performance
Dr.
is
HassanDaud,
yeah.
but I get your point. The government really needs to work when it comes to large-scale manufacturing and agriculture being one of the two primary sectors. Dr. HassanDaud, but Chief Executive Officer of the Pakhtunkhwa Board of Investment and Trade, joining us on the video link. Thank you very much for being with us on this special live transmission. In the studio, we're joined by Dr. Manzoor Ahmad, member of the Task Force on FBR and Tax Reforms, former Ambassador to World Trade Organization. Dr. Ahmad, thank you very much for your time. Dr. Naveed, a financial expert and advisor financial economy, thank you very much for your time also, for being with us on the show tonight. Really appreciate that. With that, we come to the end of this particular segment of the special live transmission. After a short break, you will be able to watch the news bulletin. This special transmission is going to continue after that.